Good morning and welcome back to the Haven Financial Group radio show. Thanks for listening this morning. I know you have lots of options and lots to do on a Sunday morning, I'm sure. Give us a call at 612-504-8400 or online at havenfinancialgroup.com. We have lots of good tools on there, a community site where we have contests. I think there's a contest for some wild tickets, and we have client events that we love to have, and we like to have fun with all these retirement topics that aren't necessarily so much fun, right, Kim?
Well, it's all in the way you approach it, right? That's what you're
Right.
saying to us. We want to talk about costs and budgets. Now, listen, budgets aren't very fun. But the fact of the matter is a lot of people may think they don't have a lot of money, but that certainly can be manipulated in retirement by taking a look at your costs and how much you spend, right?
Yeah, it's not only about how much you have, it's how much you spend. Do you live within your means? And there's a common denominator for a lot of retirees that we've helped over the years and I've got to experience is those that do live within their means, they don't really have a lot of problems. Those that love to spend, they can run into problems. And, I think of Roxanne, who was just in this past week, and she came to our wills and trusts and legacy planning class that Carrie, our estate planning attorney, and I put on here about last month. And the reason she came too, and listeners should know this, and there's a lot of them that are in the same boat. She's 71 and she's never had any will or anything. And her ex-husband passed away and the kids had a terrible nightmare settling the estate. And she promised her kids that she would not do that to them. And that's why she's getting it done. And Carrie is helping her with that. And again, estate planning, I know that's not the topic of this segment, but I thought it was cute. Anyways, where I was going with her is she has plenty of assets and she doesn't spend any money.
Yeah.
And I have no problem. And we have no telling people, Roxanne, spend some of your money and have fun. She's like, I don't know what to spend it on. I have everything I need. And she's just the cutest thing ever. She goes, I think you're the first person or second person that's a guy that's ever told me to spend money.
Right. You don't hear that very often. That's for sure.
But she's so content. She got to where she's at, being divorced by working hard, living within her means. And that's a common thread and denominator we see. We like to see good things and everything, but I've said it before. At our shred event, where people come in with their vehicles, the first year, those that had the most had the least nice vehicles, and my staff is like, I noticed that our clients that have the most drive the ugliest vehicles, and those that have the least have the fanciest vehicles. Now, each to his own to what they want to do. That isn't the point, but again, having a budget. We preach as a society to the younger generation of having a budget. I will tell you that those that are planning for retirement or in retirement, most of them also need a budget. Most retirees are on some sort of fixed income, which we've talked a lot about income this show. They're on some sort of fixed income. And I'll tell you, this inflation we've seen in recent years, it's really affected that because the purchasing power of the dollar isn't there. Inflation erodes our money, and it has drastically. So how do we make up for that? Those are the conversations that we're going to have. The healthcare piece.
Yep.
In our planning for a couple, we'll probably, as we budget it out, probably $12,000 a year, at least $1,000 to $1,500 per month. And if that sounds like a lot, it's not going to go down.
Right.
In fact, the inflationary numbers we use for healthcare is different than standard inflation. It's only going up. Nursing home and healthcare, $12,000 to $15,000 a month here in Minnesota. How are we going to pay for it? What does that budget look like? Have we budgeted in at all? So again, not fun to talk about, but something important that you should, and change it if you need to.
We're talking about strategies to keep your spending under control so that your savings lasts a little bit longer. We've just talked about healthcare and long-term emergency expenses. That's something that has to be budgeted in.
Yeah. We talk about a good balance in a portfolio. You have your risk stock market investments. Great. You have principal protected investments. And if you're wondering, what is that? Come in and talk more with us. But liquidity. You and I have talked about how important it is to have as a benchmark, we like to see 50 to 100 grand for a retired couple, 50 to 100 grand liquid in the bank. And I know the first thing listeners are going to go, well, why do you need that much in the bank? Well, things happen. The furnace goes out. The grandkids want things. And then the stock market tanks, and you don't want to be drawn off that now. So there's a whole bunch of reasons. And another reason, being in this industry so long, I see folks every single week come in with 5 to 10,000 liquid and everything at risk in the stock market, and somehow they think that might be a good recipe to go into retirement.
Right.
That's a wrecking ball just waiting to wreck. That is not a good balance. So what's the right balance for you? What is your current balance? Did I just describe what your situation is? I hope not. But maybe you are the type that has good liquidity, good principal protection, and adequate stock market investments. The problem is most people just don't know until something negative happens. And that negative, unfortunately, Kim, is usually a 25% drop in their portfolio.
Sure, absolutely. One of the things that could be added for budgeting purposes would be life insurance with living benefits, right?
Yeah, life insurance can be used for a variety of reasons. It just doesn't have to be used for legacy planning. It can have some long-term care features in life insurance. If you're looking at a long-term care life insurance hybrid, some of them are very, very attractive, much better than the old traditional. We talked earlier about annuities. When those annuities are used for income, they can have riders. Now, I will say riders are add-ons. Add-ons oftentimes mean additional cost as well. They don't always have to be, but oftentimes they do. They can have long-term care riders on. They can be, maybe you can't qualify. Maybe that's a good way to get some long-term care coverage. Longevity riders to make sure that the income is guaranteed for your life and maybe your spouse's life. Inflationary riders. So when inflation goes up, it rises with inflation. And those also can be on long-term care policies as well. And other riders. So again, just know what those riders do and what they cost. And does it make sense in your portfolio or does it not make sense? But if you're not having the conversations, if you don't have a partner that can explain these things to you and will take the time, then you're probably not getting all the information you need to make a good, educated decision for you, your spouse, and your family. I think it's owed to you. It really, really is. And you should have the time and you should work with somebody that is spending the time.
So, Larry, as we look back on this episode, and we've just talked about retirement preparedness, the questions that you need to ask, the ways to draw income, the budgets you need to set. What's the takeaway here today that you hope people maybe are deriving?
That they should be having these conversations and they shouldn't be afraid to ask a lot of questions, and they should be getting the attention. We always talk about how retirement is more than a meeting once or twice a year for 30 minutes to an hour. Okay, let's talk. I mean, we got estate planning, we got insurance, we have Medicare, we have an investments and portfolio, we have taxes, we have all of these retirement puzzle pieces. You know, that amount of time spent is just not enough. You're paying people to do this unless you're doing it all yourself. And if that's the case, more power to you. Many that's fine, and others maybe they shouldn't be. But whoever you're paying and working with, you should know exactly what you're paying and what you're getting. And we don't want to be here at Haven Financial Group the stereotype in the industry that says, "Wow, I haven't talked to Haven or Larry or Kyle or anybody for almost 6 months to a year." Right. That's just not doing our clients any favors whatsoever. And again, we get this one often. We ask our guy about Social Security. We don't get any answers. It's a good chance they might not know the answers because they don't deal with Social Security. So know who you're working with. And at Haven, again, celebrating our 10-year anniversary, we've been blessed to help lots of people in all these retirement areas. And we're very thankful for that. And for all the listeners, thanks for listening. Give us a call at 612-504-8400 or visit us online at havenfinancialgroup.com. Kim, always good to be with you, and I look forward to next week.
I look forward to it as well, Larry. Thanks very much. Have a great week, everyone.